Hey everyone, and welcome back to yet another reaction video. So today we're going to be diving into a band that I'm very surprised I haven't actually listened to yet, just in general. They're considered to be, one of the early founding members of more extreme metal. And as far as I'm aware, they're constantly cited by bands who say, this band inspired me to get into metal and to start down my journey. That band is Meshuggah. I believe that's how you say it. As I said, they're a band that I've surprisingly never really encountered. I don't know, they've just passed me by somehow. I've never actually gone out my way to listen to them. But today we're going to change that. I'm looking at Broken Cog, which is, I believe, one of their newer songs, because this band, I think, have been around since 1987. This song only came out a year ago, so they're still active, still very much going. Which is impressive to have that longevity for what I'm aware. My understanding is they're a very heavy band, so that is quite impressive to have that longevity. And so I'm really interested to see what this sounds like, and then maybe in future compare it to one of their older songs, which will perhaps give me a sense of how they've changed. So if you have any older songs that you think of theirs that are particularly notable, or perfectly showcase their older style, then please do suggest them in the comments, as again, this is a band I'm diving into for the first time, so I don't really know what songs are the right ones to go for. But without further ado, let's just get started. Oh, starting immediately. I like the rhythm, it puts you off balance. Oh, it really puts you off balance, I like it. This makes me feel like something from a Doom soundtrack right now. So this is maybe where Mick Gordon got a lot of his inspiration from. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that must be 3 guitars going on in there, with the chugs, the mid and the high. Is this going to be another one of those songs that turns out to be an instrumental that I didn't know I was getting into? Or is this just a especially long intro? Oh, there you go. Okay, I'm going to pause there. I was expecting it to pick up. I felt like it was building to the drop there, but it seems like the drop is going to be later on, and they're still in the build stage. I don't want to say prog metal, because I feel like I'm boiling down what progressive metal is to one feature, but that feels quite prog metal to have a long intro that just holds and holds you there. I do notice this is a 5.5 minute song, not long as far as metal goes necessarily, but still, gives you a lot of space to work with, a lot of time to actually develop the sound. You don't need to get it out there immediately and get started. That's one thing I do like about metal in general, is that they often do aim for the longer run times, and by aiming for those longer run times, you do get more room to experiment with different elements, to give a longer intro, or to mess about with some instrumentation, maybe add in some weird stuff here and there. Just try out different styles within the song itself. First off, we're not getting much from the vocals here. Obviously, it's just been whispering. It's giving me Machine Head vibes. Machine Head are a band who I have had a lot of experience with. I've listened to quite a lot. The Blackening is one of my favourite albums of all time, and I think Unto the Locust is also pretty much up there. I used to listen to that album pretty much in its entirety because it was only like, I think it was like 7 or 8 songs, but it was about an hour and 10 minutes. And Machine Head are always really good at doing those kind of 10-minute epic songs that just build out, you know. But yeah, I like the long instrumentation in the beginning. I mentioned earlier on, it was really interesting with the rhythm that was going on because I think it was like do 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 do. It was something like that. It was basically, you know, a different number of chugs each, I guess, phrase you would say, and it did keep you offbeat. You weren't sure, I guess, if the next one was going to be different or if it was going to repeat, and it did end up looping. You know, I think it was maybe 4 bars of these chugs, and then that looped, but you never quite got to settle into the rhythm because of the way the guitar was just keeping you on your toes essentially, and I really liked that. And then about, I think, a minute and 20 seconds in or something like that, when you're quite a bit of the way through the intro, the higher guitars come in. You had the chugs that were going on, you had a mid guitar piece that it was still quite high, but it was definitely the middle of the 3 guitars that were going on, and then you had the high part which sounded like it was maybe an octave change from the mid. I'm not sure, but it sounded quite similar at least, but just with different notes. And I really liked how that all blended together. The melody they went for gave you a real sense of unease, which was really interesting. I don't know what the song's about. I don't have the lyrics up, and we'll see how many lyrics I actually pick up as I'm listening throughout. I tend to not pick up lyrics until the second or third go because most of the time I'm just getting into the music of things, like how the vocals sound, how the guitars sound, that sort of thing. But I'll see if I can pick up what story they're going for here. I'm assuming from Broken Cog it's maybe a discussion on, you know, how you fit in to wider society when you're, you know, suffering with mental health issues. It's just a guess. That's what I would interpret from something called Broken Cog. But we'll see where the song goes. I'm really liking that it's down tempo though, and I feel like they're definitely going to come in and just hit you at some point. Might not get there until about halfway through the song. So let's find out. Okay, see, that's on top of the off rhythm. The rhythms are changing for the chugs. I feel like the guitars are starting to open up a bit now as well. You're getting a bit more sustain on the notes to make it feel like it's actually progressing. Definitely Machine Head vibes at the moment. Oh, and it's just building. It just keeps going. I'm hesitant to pause. I'm gonna wait. Right, okay, I'm gonna pause there just because I don't know how much longer this is gonna go on for. I don't want to end the song by accident. We're definitely gonna go back and catch that transition. I don't quite know where it was. We'll go from maybe here. I loved the way that it's just cold and steady. It's got to, I feel like it's got to kick in right at the end to just like blow you out. I feel like that's where it's going. I'd be very surprised if it just stays mellow for the whole song, but maybe it will. Who knows? But I liked that section that just came in where he was playing the one note where it kind of kicked up a little bit. You know, previously you were gotten used to the chugs, even though the rhythm was off, you'd settled in, you were kind of used to it, the vocals were quite low, you know, everything was pretty stable. Then the guitar went to just hitting the one note rather than a bit of a chord, it was hitting the one note but harder, and it was really giving you a sense of escalation. And then obviously the high guitar came in and was giving you a bit more of those layers. There's a lot of focus on the guitars in this song at the moment. I don't know if that's a general Meshuggah thing or if that's just for this song that they're going for. In the lyrics, I think I heard, the chasm will swallow us whole. A couple of things in there, maybe not getting the mental health side of things from the lyrics. I'm not sure. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like it might be a bit more of just a general anger. I think when I started, kind of laughing a bit, like laughing in joy, to be honest, it was because it really is giving me Doom feels, because I just recently played through the entirety of Doom 2016 again, because it's one of my favourite games. I absolutely love that game. And the music in it, done by Mick Gordon, as I mentioned earlier, fantastic guitarist, fantastic music producer, to be honest. Big into metal. He did a song with Motionless in White for their most recent album, which you could really hear his influence. And obviously he's not, as far as I'm aware, involved in this song, but that feel, if this is the typical thing you would hear from Meshuggah, then I wouldn't be surprised if the Doom soundtrack came a lot from Meshuggah as a whole, because that escalation sounded like when the demons kick in and you've killed a few of them and then they start bringing in the big guns. That's what it felt like. It felt like they were sending those in and you were starting to get into a bit more of a rhythm. You were starting to get a bit more kind of overall volume. There was a lot coming in. And yeah, because even with the imagery on screen as well, there was one point where I think one of them looked like a cackle demon, and some of them were even giving me skull imagery in the kind of kaleidoscopic effect that they had going on. Even though I don't think they were meant to be skulls, I think it was just meant to represent, the cells in the brain, that sort of thing. But it was giving me kind of skull imagery, and so I was really just pulling me back to playing Doom just the other week there, and just I just absolutely love this style and this escalation. One of the things I love about Doom is how the music integrates with the gameplay, and I feel like if this song came on during Doom, I wouldn't even bat an eye. Like, it would just feel like it fit. We'll continue from here. I think this is probably a wee bit before the guitar changeover, so we'll listen through that whole section again and then keep going. Yeah, that's where it kicks in. That looks like a cackle demon. That's what I was getting at. Like, that just kicks so hard. Then the highs come in to just complement it so nicely. Yeah, see, I get the skull imagery from that. I think it really looks like the skulls from Doom. I think we get back to near where I paused the last time, and I just want to add as well, having re-listened to that section, I really like how they're basically just holding the tone, for the whole of the verse, or even for the whole of the first half of the song. They held kind of the same guitar tones, the same pitches, everything was just pretty steady. And then they're doing it again here, where they've been holding this for probably longer than you would expect in a song just generally. Often there's a lot of change up, a lot of dynamics, but it doesn't feel boring. You feel sucked into it, you feel it escalating, even when nothing is necessarily changing. There's just a couple of wee elements been added here and there, but overall, most of the tone that they're doing is the same notes, the same couple of notes, and doing it over and over again. But you just feel the sense of escalation, and you just know something big is coming at the end of this song. It has to. Yeah, I just love how they're able to keep the energy and sort of keep you entranced, even though, it would be very easy, I think, for this kind of thing to get boring, but it doesn't feel boring. and I think that's really impressive. So I'm excited to see how this blows up at the end. The music video is very interesting. See what I mean about it just kind of staying steady when they get a new rhythm going? Oh, Skeleton Warrior. I'm really glad that we got... It was almost like a breakdown section, even though it didn't really break down, because the whole song has been kind of that low, steady way. It wasn't really a breakdown, but I guess it was like a culmination of the build-up. But I really like that we actually got some strong, harsh vocals coming out, because I was a bit concerned that I would basically chosen a song by Meshuggah that wasn't going to show the vocals at all, and I wasn't going to get a sense of what he was going for, or what kind of sound he goes for. But that was brilliant. His tone is incredible. His tone and the harsh vocals is incredible. I actually understood on first listen quite a lot of what he was saying with the harsh vocals, and that's, I mean, I've been listening to harsh vocals for years now, and I even on, you know, more extreme forms of like deathcore, death metal, that sort of thing, even in the more extreme end of harsh vocals, I still understand a little bit, but it takes a while of maybe listening and reading the lyrics, and then I'm like, yes, I understand it now. The one I think of is Lorna Shore with Will Ramos. Usually I get a couple of bits here and there, but then after I read, I can tie them to exactly where they belong in the song, and it all makes sense, and I can hear it from then going on when I'm listening. But I was able to kind of understand what he was saying just right away, without any knowledge of what the song's about, with any knowledge of the lyrics, whilst also still getting that really kind of aggressive tone that I was probably expecting coming into this band. And I'm just really impressed that he was able to keep that diction there, and able to keep everything sort of sounding legible whilst also still sounding harsh. We're going to go back again just a little bit, just maybe halfway through that breakdown section, just so I at least get the lead into this outro that's happening here. Maybe go from here to the end of the song, I think, and we'll see what we think. Yeah, his growls have so much power there. I hate to say it again, but again, Machine Head vibes from this outro. That sort of growling whisper. Rob Flynn does that a lot. Oh, that was so interesting. I really enjoyed that. I really liked the kind of steadiness of it whilst also being unsteady at the same time. Does that even make any sense? I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think I need to listen to any of it again. Let's just go straight to our final thoughts. So, I mean, final thoughts on that song. I really enjoyed it. That was wonderful stuff. I think I'm surprised, even though, you know, the rhythms were off, it was quite low tempo. I couldn't tell you the BPM just off the top of my head. I'm not that good. It was quite low tempo. It was quite slow. It just had a bit of it just had the energy coming from the rhythms that they were using on the guitars, but the actual overall tempo of the song was quite slow as far as metal goes. It could well just be a thing with the song choice that I've gone for. This just happened to be a slower song, and they might have some other stuff that's a lot more in your face, on the go, 100 miles an hour, that sort of thing. But no, that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. I like the way they were willing to stick on a rhythm for longer than you would expect. They had the 5.5 minutes of the song to use. You know, they used it well. I never felt like they were extending things a bit too long. I feel like they extended things longer than they necessarily needed to be there, but not in a bad way. I feel like by extending the rhythm past where your brain would expect a song to change, you know, you would expect like a 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 and then a change maybe, or maybe, you know, 2 lots of that and then a change. But it went for like kind of an uneven number of counts before you got a change in the rhythm. It went for, you know, various different chug numbers and lengths throughout the guitar pieces. I feel like extending things far beyond where you would expect them to end gives you that feeling of unease that the song was, from what I can tell, very much going for. I'm glad, as I said, I'm glad we got to hear the lead singer's vocals in the kind of towards the end there. I'm glad he got a bit to properly kind of go for it. I'm sure that wasn't the height of his range. It was definitely kind of a mid-grill, and I imagine that he could probably do something a lot harder, a lot more hard-hitting, but this just wasn't the song for it, and that's fair enough. I would love to listen to more, but I would need to kind of know, you know, what songs to go for, so please do let me know what other Meshuggah songs you think would be good to react to, what kind of displays more the different dynamics that the band goes for. But overall, no, fantastic song. And again, you know, I mentioned this band started in 1987, so the fact that they're still releasing what seems to be just strong music this far in, I mean, I can't do the quick maths in my head, but it's probably like, what, 36 years maybe since 1987. Very impressive that they've had this staying power. People still know them and people still talk about them as being a fantastic metal band, whereas there's a lot of bands who started in even the 90s and the 2000s that have fallen, that people don't think are as good anymore. Meshuggah seem to be a name that consistently stays up there. So yes, thank you very much for watching. That was my reaction to Broken Cog by Meshuggah. The video will be linked in the description. You can go and watch it for yourself, listen to it over and over. I'll be listening to it again for sure. Also in the description you'll find my Twitter link, you'll find my Discord link, currently quite a small community, but feel free to join and we can, you know, chat about music, you can give recommendations, we can just chat about anything, have a good time. It's the first place that I put out video announcements where possible. Please do all that YouTube stuff. I hate to say it, but you know, like and subscribe, all that stuff, but anything helps out and I really appreciate you just staying to the end of this video. So thank you very much and hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.